Last month, interest on the national debt ate up 76% of income tax, meaning 3 out of every $4 you currently give the IRS are actually going to China or Wall Street. The numbers come from my based colleague E.J. Antoni, who sources directly from the Office of Management and Budget. They report that for the month of June, the U.S. government collected $185 billion in individual income taxes, and it spent $140 billion on debt interest. So 3 out of every $4 straight out the back door. Elon Musk noticed, adding, quote, "I'm glad 76% of the income tax I pay goes directly to important things like interest on past government incompetence." On an annual basis, that's up 8 points in a single year. And if it keeps up, the federal government will be paying more in debt interest than it collects in income tax in, about 6 years and 9 months. What's driving all this is that income taxes are actually down, which normally only happens in a recession, while the cost to service the national debt has exploded by 33% in a single year, thanks to trillion-dollar deficits and rising debt costs. Put them together, and in the past 12 months, Washington paid $868 billion in interest alone, on track to hit $1,140 billion in the coming year. For perspective, in George W.'s first year, the entire federal deficit was $158 billion. Now we're paying 5 times that in debt interest alone, and next year we'll be paying 7 times. For even worse perspective, if the federal government actually tried to live within its means, it would have to cut nearly $2 trillion in annual spending, which would mean a 50% cut to everything outside Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. Yes, even the military and those top men at Homeland Security. Sadly, 50% cuts are not on the table, meaning it will get worse. For perspective, it took precisely 192 years for Washington to accumulate its first trillion in national debt. It took us just 100 days to add the last trillion. So how did we get here? 2 men, FDR and Richard Nixon, followed by 50 years of politicians with less willpower than a Wall Street banker at a strip club. So FDR broke the gold backing of the dollar back in 1933, and Nixon finished it off by banning foreign countries exchanging dollars for gold. This meant the Fed could print unlimited amounts of money, meaning it could finance unlimited federal deficits, which is what it did. To illustrate, when FDR took office, the accumulated federal debt since 1789 was just $22 billion. After FDR, that exploded 20-fold by Nixon, and then it exploded nearly 100 times to today's $35 trillion. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. We are not getting 50% spending cuts absent a civilization-ending crisis, meaning the only realistic solution is to go back the way we came, limit the money printing. In theory, of course, Washington could just do this using, say, Milton Friedman's so-called K% rule. But given the incentives to buy elections and reward donors, Washington needs the physical constraint of hard money backing. This could mean backing with gold, as is traditional. It could mean Bitcoin someday. It could even mean a basket of commodities like oil or grain, which would be an improvement. Alas, given hard backing is not remotely on the political radar, we are in for a lot more debt and a lot more inflation. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.